Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Catch-Up. Well, we're back again, and of course joining me this week as usual is the co-host of the Weekly Catch-Up, Mr. Jeffrey K. Holbrook. Good morning.
Greetings. Episode 22.
22. Did you notice that was one of the faux pas on the only thing that went wrong in last week's show? On one of the shots it said 21. Or it said 2020.
It said 20 instead of 21 the last time. I expected you would catch that. I wasn't going to, as they say around here, bust your chops because of that. I was just, because we solved so many problems. We can live with that.
Yeah, no. And one of the problems I had with because the way I'm doing this at the moment, it's probably not the conventional way, because you're supposed to use the mix minus, but I haven't got that on this version of Wirecast. So I'm going through the computer and I'm just monitoring the sound from the computer, so I don't get feedback through my headset what I'm saying. But to counteract that, I took the headphone out of this ear, so I can do the old-fashioned thing and hear it naturally. So I thought, oh, that's a novel thing. Let's just listen to yourself naturally. Then I have that one with the earphone in there, and then the other earphone stuck down the back of my shirt, so it's not dangling down there. So that actually makes it quite good. And I've started using the HS09, which is good. Then I don't have to have the big microphone in the way, and then I don't have to be sort of hunched over thinking of to get a better sound. Plus, it's not as echoey, I don't think, for this. It's works so much better.
Your sound last week and this week has been excellent. I mean, it sounds really, really good.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And as I said, I hadn't used this one too much, but I think I'll start using that quite a bit, because it gives you quite a lot of freedom. And of course, now after we thought we would have worked last week, you get the exact feed back through Skype, so you can see the show on there as well as listen to it. So I don't have to do it that backwards way. And now everything syncs, so that's great.
Yes, syncing is what we've been trying to get all along.
And I've even been so good this week. I've even got I've even put a little video together which goes for about 3 minutes, I think it is. So I'll debut on the Weekly Catch-Up. So that'll give us so at our halftime break we can have that little break for a few minutes and watch that. But we can talk over it if you want as well, because it's able to do that. So.
Okay. Hey, I saw your show with Anders, where you did your episode by yourself there with Tech Down Over number 97, and that was a good show. That guy and the other guy that kept sticking his head in, they were very, very excited to be on your show. I think they really were.
Have you seen their work?
No, I still haven't had a chance to go. I've been on vacation this week. I haven't spent much time at the computer at all.
But when you do, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel Andy X. It's ANDYAX. That's that you'll find that, and it's that's Anders Overgaard. I think I'm not saying it right the way that they would say it, but that's close enough in the English way would say it. But he has a video production company in Oslo, in Norway, and they do quite a lot of, as I think I was saying on the show, quite a lot of reviews. But even if you're not interested in a lot of the products that they might be talking about, watch them, because they make quite a movie out of things. As I said on there, one of my favourite ones he did was the Panasonic GH4 and the Sony A7S camera. And it was just, as I said, it was showing the low light capability of the Sony. And you saw Eskil on that. He was the gentleman kept popping in, and he's a bit of a character. But he's just so natural on film and that. And like we were saying, he just makes the scripts up. But even when he does it again, he can repeat what he just said for word. Like when me and you make it up, we'll make it up and would say it if we had to do it 3 times, we'd say it 3 times differently. But he does it 3 or 4 times, makes one up, but he says it word for word. But one of the things we're doing with the Sony camera was he said, "Oh, look at the low light," and there was in a basement, a dark, dingy basement, and it was so horrible, the picture quality. But I'm sure they made it even worse looking. But it looked like, how you've got like about 5 million ISO on it, so it looks really grainy. And they said, "Oh yeah, now," and they had the lighter on, and they said, "Yeah, now do it," and you see it brighten up all of a sudden, and oh look, it was really good. And then you see, like at Halloween, the masked person in the background. You just see, and then it goes off, and he's gone. And then, and it does. You're watching, even when you're watching you said, "That's good. I think there's somebody there." What? and then all of a sudden he just pops out. But they do really well, and they were one of them said review gone wrong, and they both come out with black eyes and all that. But they do such.
No, I like it. I like it whenever they can inject a little bit of humor into it. But in their humor, they actually showcase the product in the use of it, and show you an extreme situation that would, and maybe make you jump a little bit and keep your attention as you go through it. These little, like you say, sad stories that aren't normally in a review. It's usually kind of dry. Well, we got this and this and this. But whenever they can actually add some excitement to it, that's, and they use the product to get that excitement injected into it. I think that's really innovative, because very few people do that.
And they do it all the time with the thing. You watch all their reviews, and that they always have something behind it when they're doing, say, test footage. They don't just take some pictures. Like there was the one that they called one of the earlier cameras, the man with the invisible gun. And so they're filming with this can, just showing it, and then Eskel's the one was filming him was walking in the woods with his girlfriend and hearing a noise, and he picks up a twig, and then fires something. There's all the sparks come out the gun, and he's firing it all that, and trying to protect his girlfriend from this invisible thing, and then what ends up with a helicopter. And then you see his girlfriend's got a tree branch, and then she's got it chucked on her shoulder, and she does a bazooka thing and blows up. But they do it so well. I mean, it's just really, to me though, it's a bit upsetting to me that people like that's so talented don't get on as well as there's so they don't get the breaks as some of the big producers in that, because they're just so talented. And I thought, I suppose that's how some of these other ones started up, but they just do so well. If somebody just saw them and said, well, if they gave them money to put the money that Hollywood have, you can just imagine what they're doing. And one of his projects he's doing now is called The Camera Hack. That's his next video. And so what they thought, well, we want to do a bit better. Let's put out in the thing and try and get some funds. Like they have what do they do? A Kickstarter they do when they're trying to sell a product.
Kickstarter or Fund Me or Patreon, different things like
and
that.
But this one, they're not selling any product, but they just say, hey, fund us to make looking for, I think, $8,000 to put it in to do a real good film. So I thought that would be good. So I've contributed to that. So. I thought that'd be a great idea, but I think just to see what they do without any contribution, just off their own back, is fantastic. So it'd be great to see what they do when they get a little bit of funds behind them. So,
well, they get some funds. That could be the thing that gets the Hollywood people to pay attention if they do maybe a somewhat longer short film, and that could be what actually gets the attention of the money.
Well, and that's right, because if you can make it like some of these, I think I sent you a couple of links of 3 short films, and these are just done by amateurs. And I mean, if you were a Hollywood person, so well done, some of that, you think, gee, we'd have to, if we put tens of millions of dollars in that, it would look, because it looks fantastic for the short film that they did there. So imagine what it does with had sort of limitless funds from Hollywood. Because all you have to have is a mild hit, and they'll give you $50 million, won't they? Because I mean, that's just a mild hit will get that if it makes it well in Hollywood, because it's not just the movie these days, it's the hundreds of millions of dollars they make selling it on DVD and selling it to Netflix and selling it to Stan and selling it to all the streaming people and that. So.
It seems to me that that the people making these pictures would want to investigate the really, really talented people who may not cost them quite as much to get a very similar thing going, and then they could, either put less money into the film or put that money into something else, which they usually put into explosions. But it seemed like to me that they would want to try, say, for the second unit or something, take these people and try them, for a short section of something, and actually bring them in on it and let them do something small. And then they would slowly build their way up to where they were doing full movies before it was over with. Because, I know my niece and nephew, where they have that recording studio, they were actually, there was an independent film, and they were going to be filming in the general area where they are at. And this is a movie that's going to be at the film festivals and stuff, and I believe it's going to be released in theaters too. And they just needed some sound recording, and somebody knew the guy doing it and said, well, hey, I know them. Why don't you have them to come? They live in that area. Why don't you have them to do it? And they told them that that was the best audio they had gotten for the entire film. Because they were, and of course they all now have references in the international movie database. One of them's the gaffer, one of them's the sound recordist or something, and then they have the gaffer. She was holding nothing. She's a gaffer, and she said she had to look up and see what a gaffer actually was, but it turns out she was doing it, so that was great. But they said that was the best audio they got for the entire film.
Well, the gaffer in England is the boss, isn't it? Not in the film industry. The gaffer is the boss, but he's not in the film industry.
Well, I noticed. I knew about gaffers in movies, but then on Lord of the Rings, a guy kept talking about his old gaffer, which I took to be his father. But it's the boss, I guess.
Well, that's what it is in England. The gaffer is the boss, but in the movie industry, it's got nothing to do with that. But like, you're quite right. It's like everything, I think, in life as well, is people get on so much more when they're just by accident. Something just turns up, and that's what when you're doing e-learning or anything like this, got to be nice. Like, I think Rick, one of his clients he picked up was because somebody couldn't do something. He said, I can do that, and just helped them out, and didn't say, I'm going to help you out, but I'm going to charge you a fortune to do it. He just helped them out because, just to be not, and you've got to do those things. But they saw the quality of the work. They said, why not use this fella for our normal business? And that's the same thing with everything. If you put out there, sometimes you can get, it pays you back. You don't always have to get money for things. Sometimes it could, because if you ask for money, okay, well, I just did it because they would charge me for it, and that's the end of it. But if you do something without expecting anything, it goes a long way, I think, in this day and age. And you can get if it doesn't, hey, what's it cost you? An hour or two, or even a day's worth of work? Hasn't cost you anything more, but there's so much more you can get out of good word of mouth than you can by what you look like on paper, because everybody looks fantastic on paper. But then that gets them in the door, but it's what they produce that makes a big difference these days. So if somebody says, I know somebody who can do that, and then they try you and it works out, you can get a long way with that. So.
Well, they've been doing, my niece and nephew again, they have been doing a promotional video for local charities that they find. They do about one of those a month or every couple of months, depending on their workload and as they can do it. And they will actually approach a charity and say, hey, we could do this and this and this for you. And of course, it's no charge, but then these people use this on television, and on YouTube, and I believe they use Vimeo quite a bit. And so they'll end up doing that. So your work gets out there that way too. But one of the things I think that the reason why a lot of the new people don't get discovered and used like that has a lot to do with the fact that a director or producer and all these people have worked with specific people. They know how much it costs, they can budget it, and they know exactly what it's going to be like. They know how good it's going to be. And so it's a sure thing. And they have worked with these people before. And so they're not apt to break out and try do somebody on a trial simply because they're you know, it's a sure thing with the ones they've got. And they know how much it's going to cost. And so they can easily budget in advance, and then they just do it. They know that it's going to be quality work. So rather than trying to save some money, you know, there's probably nothing that looks worse on people who are making a movie is if they try to cut corners and then it doesn't work out so well. And so there's probably a fear there that even though they can do a short 3 or 4 minute film, whether they're good enough to do a longer film and do things like that, whether they can stand up to it, there's always that doubt. And so they use who they know, what they know, a known quantity, and they kind of hate to gamble whenever they already have something they know is going to work and they have the funding. So, hey, why worry about it?
And because that's right. You know, if you know exactly the work you're going to get, it's not worth it. You say, yes, it might cost them $50 million to do that, but if they might get something for $10 million, but it might be a heap of rubbish and they'll not even recover the 10 million. But they know if they get the quality of the work, they know they can produce that. It's just, as you said, that's where the problem is if they. It's like in normal business. There's a lot of businesses that have franchisees around the place, and then one franchisee moves from one area to the other shop. And how many times do you see that all those people he worked with at the other one, all of a sudden leave that one and come and work with him? Because he knows, well, they were working well with me on that, and you know how good the quality of the people are who work for him, because if they don't move with him, you know he doesn't want them, because it wasn't where they were wasn't working out. But you know, if they did well, so you know, well, and then that makes those people look good, because you know if they're following that person all the time, you say, well, I know they must be good because he wouldn't put up with them all the time. And it's the same thing in that. So, you know, if people work with these high-end directors, anybody else would say, oh, well, I've worked with that one, so they must be good to work with, or else I wouldn't keep going back and hiring them again. So, because there's so many of these actors have sort of gone by the wayside over the years because they're just, I think they get wrapped up in their own publicity sometimes, and they're just, they don't even match up to their own publicity. And so people, you know, get too unruly and very hard to work with.
Yeah, I think whenever you, like you say, the Beatles broke up because of pretty much egos, I would say. And so what happens is you see artists and then some of them do begin to believe their own legend. Some of them are just egotistical to start with because, you know, hey, they are artists and all.
Well,
and
yeah,
so
that's right.
if you can, after all, stereotype here, but if you find a combination of, say, director, producer, and then the actors that they know they can work with. I mean, you know, it's just a clean combination. Like, you know, John Ford worked with John Wayne all the time. You know, I mean, they know that it works, and even if they do have an argument, they know it's going to be worked out, and everybody wants to make the best film possible. So, you know, again, they get used to it, they get comfortable with it. So throwing someone else or another actor or another company or something into the mix is, you know, it's not a sure thing anymore. You know, then you're taking a gamble, and you know, who wants to take too many gambles? But it is a shame that more of that isn't paid attention to, because there is so much talent out there. I mean, some extremely talented people, and it seems to me that they could let them have small parts in large films to start with, and then work their way up. Just give them that chance. You know, well, I think independent films are more apt to let them do that than the established, you know, Hollywood studio films. You
know, Anders has got one of his little films is called Act Naturally, and it's him filming a film crew filming somebody, and he's saying, "Now I'm just going to film you now. Act naturally." And they're all, and it is, no.
First thing you do is
that's what he said. As soon as he says that, they all start concentrating. But that's the thing, is when you start to think somebody's watching you, you do start to act differently.
And you see him glancing at the camera, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, glancing at the camera, and real nervous and everything.
But even
they go ahead.
I said, even when I've tried, you know, they say, you try filming yourself, and I have the camera there and I want to have it on the side, just walk past it. You know, there's a walking past shot. it's so hard not to just have a glance, and you feel yourself looking at the camera, and you just try it. But so just even that, just pretending it's not there, it's so hard to do, isn't it? So.
Well, whenever you don't have experience at it, I mean, it's the hardest thing ever because everybody just feels they have to look at it, and yeah, I mean, it's just human nature to want to look at it. But with whenever you have people who, you know, they want to be on there so bad. But what I did was took back when they first come out with those VHS cameras that were sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah.
We bought one. It's been 26 years ago, almost 27. 2 weeks before our daughter was born, we bought one, and so I got to the point to where people were acting so unnaturally that I took tape and put it over the red light.
Yeah. Well,
and it changed everybody's reactions to it. And I've carried it on my shoulder and just checked the viewfinder every now and then, and you know, I got to where I could pretty well keep it lined up with what I was after without looking through the viewfinder. And a lot of times people weren't aware actually that I was videoing. And so they quit looking at the camera, and I got natural reactions to everything.
And the good thing with the later cameras like this one and my other camera, they have a place where you can switch off the tally light, so you don't see, so you don't have to put a tape over it anymore. So you can you just switch it off. So when you are recording, and it doesn't make a beep either. You can switch the beep off, so you just start it. And one of the things I learnt when if you're doing an interview, when you're filming somebody, so you get them sat down and said, look, well, there's a camera there, but you see that little red light with it? Well, when that comes on, we'll be recording. Oh, okay. I said, yeah, fine. But let's just sit down, or we'll just have a little run through and pretend we're doing it. But we're not recording, just get the shots done in there and then take them through it and say, yeah, and just talk to them and ask them the questions and just talk. And I said, so how did you feel with that? Are you ready for me to switch on the, yeah, I think I'm ready. Well, you don't have to, we've done it.
Yeah, we've already done it.
Because it's amazing, like me and you, we've talked about this before when we're recording. I can read a script and get it word perfect in the paragraph. They're fantastic. Record, can't get past word 3 because but if you have it, if you monitor it, you've got the microphone, you read the script, you'll get through it and nearly every time without a mistake. But as soon as you know you're switching that record button on, because I don't know what it is, it's one of those things where I think we're still in that generation where we think you only record what you need to record. You know, like when you feel, but it doesn't matter. You could just let's just switch it on for an hour and record what I could always edit out the bits I don't use, but we don't. We say, oh, now I've practiced. Now I'm ready to record. But we could really just record our hours worth of practice as well and keep going. Oh, well, actually, that practice was not so bad because most of the time my practice works out better than the actual one that you do it when you do it later. But it's just human nature, isn't it? I think for us who are not, it's not our full-time job to do that. So
that is one lesson I think I have actually learned, is to just start recording, and then again, I run through maybe 3 takes of the same thing, all on one take. But you know, I do it maybe 3 times if it's a shorter thing. Today, whenever you called the first time, I hit record. Then I answered the call.
Yes, and
then the call got messed up, and then you called back, and I just left the thing running. And so I've got all that on there whenever it first started, and it's all, you know, it's all working. But again, if you want to go back to that, you can just cut out, especially on the front end or the back end. I mean, you can just cut the whole thing out until you're ready to start it, but it actually works well. Oh, one thing that I did this week was talk to my brother. You remember I told you that I have a brother who lives out of state, but he does audiobooks. And I had not actually seen him in a while. His wife is a travel nurse, and so he'd been doing his audiobooks wherever they happen to be at, setting up and doing that. He has the same microphone that I have, the NT1A, but they are now in Charleston. His wife got herself one of those travel nursing jobs actually here in Charleston. So we got to see them, and we're going to spend most of the day with them on Friday as well. He has done about 40 audiobooks now. Some of them longer, some of them shorter. And of course, he's doing it through ACX. And so I'm asking him for advice, and about different things. And I told you I got spoiled by the first audiobook that I auditioned for, because I got the first one I ever auditioned for, and then I've auditioned for maybe 3 or 4 since then, and I have not gotten any of them yet. But I think there's one more still pending. But I asked him what was his ratio. He did 40 books, but he has actually established relationships with people. And the stuff he's doing right now, he's got 10 short books for this guy. He's doing one right after the other. And they're actually shorter things. So he's setting it up like that. But he has actually completed 40 audiobooks, and he's done about 200 auditions.
Oh. But
so, go ahead.
But I was going to say, that's like we were just saying before. It's all got to do with getting to know people and getting yourself out there. And a lot of the things with the voiceovers for books and that, it's not necessarily you might be the best voice, but you work the best way. You know people. You produced books that's nice sounding, but you get the job done on time. And that's one of the big things that makes a big difference, I think, is when that happens. And also as well, I'm sure when he's done all those books, at first, like, you knew how long it took you on the first one, but then the next one gets so much better. But after so many, you just get into the role of it. And like we were saying just a second ago about the apprehension of recording, it doesn't matter anymore. You just get so much more proficient at it. And I know I do. When I've had a break for a while and haven't done anything for a while, you get back into it, you get a bit rusty. But once you've been doing it for a little while, you don't care so much, and then it goes back and you start recording much nicer. I think one of the advantages that we have, well, I don't know about you, but one of the advantages I have now is with age, when you start getting a little bit older, you don't care so much of what people think. Whereas when you're in the 20s, I would never have done that or go on video, because and when you get a bit, you really don't care. You say, well, people have to look at me and listen to me in normal life. If they don't like it, well, so what? So you get over it. And if you get on here, people will say, God, they're horrible, they're idiots, or whatever. Well, there's going to be people saying that no matter what, if you put yourself out there. But as I said, if you don't, you just sit there doing nothing a lot of the time, don't you?
No, that is entirely true. He is completely comfortable and completely, to me, almost nonchalant about it. And this guy contacted him after they came to Charleston. He didn't have his microphone and his setup with him, and so he just ordered a microphone. It ended up being the Audio-Technica AT2020, which is a USB, condenser microphone. And he's, me, you can see sound treatment behind me in my booth and everything like that. I had the impression that he thought my booth was a bit of overkill for audiobooks.
Oh.
because he's sitting there doing it at a small desk in a corner of the room, and there's no actual sound treatment around. He does have some more advanced software than I do, so, but he's not getting any echo out of it, and he's used to using the software, and I think it's called Mixcraft, I believe is what he's using. And so it's actually something to use for multi-track recording and stuff like that. And there's quite a few plugins you can get for it, but he's really happy, and they are happy with the results. And so he's been doing these things, just sitting at a small desk, in a corner of their apartment, because they're temporarily here and there. They're going to move permanently back to Florida here, I think, after this is done, and live close to my parents again. But it's he is just totally comfortable with it. Another thing, too, you brought up, you were talking about when you get to relationships and everything like that. That also gives that person who wrote the book and is writing new books, again, that known quantity. They know the quality of your work, like you were saying. They know that you'll deliver on time. They are completely comfortable with the situation. So why gamble on somebody new whenever this person has produced 3 books for you in the past? You're ready to give them the next 10 books.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it might sound that sounds a little bit better. Yeah, but it'll take 6 months to produce something that other one will only take 6 weeks. And as I said, it's quite a nice voice, but also as well, that's the thing is with the voiceover, there's not just the perfect voice, because a perfect radio voice is not what people want to read a book. They want a normal person to read it. They want accents. They don't want just perfect reading voices. As I said, like they have Morgan Freeman reading. Yes, he gets paid a fortune to do it, but I wouldn't say he's a perfect read, but he's just got a perfect sounding voice for certain things, doesn't he? And it's like everything else. I was just seeing there's an advert here recently with Richard Dreyfuss, you know, the actor, and he must be doing a voiceover thing, and so the whole point of the advert, somebody keeps changing the script, typing it on the prompter as he's reading it, and you know, when he starts off, yes, the vision, what, and they keep changing it on him, but it's quite a
that's not very funny. That was another thing that I talked to him about, that I was wondering if the few scripts that I have auditioned for and haven't gotten, again, where I've been working full time, he's full time, so I haven't put the time into it that he has. But I was saying something that I was wondering if perhaps my regional accent, even though it's not exactly like everyone's around here, was affecting it, and maybe that may be why I wasn't able to get my next book yet. And he said that when they were in Washington State, that he actually took a class, a voiceover type of class, and it was centering on audiobooks and stuff. And they said, absolutely do not attempt to purge your accent.
No.
Yeah, because they want real people. They don't want someone who is mechanical or whatever like that. He said, don't try to purge your accent. However it is, however it's natural, stick with it, because then you'll have differences at different places in the book, because it'll be all proper at the beginning, you know, whatever the international standard is. But then all of a sudden you'll slip into, you'll say the same word later with a different accent. Be who you are and just say it. And if they like you, they do. If they don't, they don't. Keep auditioning, and you will eventually get, because he's getting less than 25% of what he's auditioning for. But he's got 40 books out there now.
But that's the thing.
So it's just a matter of time. You just keep plugging away.
You've got to keep plugging away. If you're not getting much, if you go and audition for 2 or 3, well, you're not going to get it. But if you do 30 or 40 and get 5 or 6 out of it, well, that's a good hit rate. But also as well, when you look out there, you look about who you're competing with. I just had a look. We had on the Hour News here, there was one of the main voiceover talent on one of the TV stations had died. He was 70, and he was the one that, like, in ours, on one of our TV stations, the one that introduces, you know, coming up tonight on the National 9 News, and coming up tonight on a current affair, and all. He did all those things, and pretty much everything you'd hear on TV out here, he'd had something to do with it. And then you go on to the one, I went on to voices.com just to have a look. And that's where everybody goes for voiceover and there he is. And I thought, yeah, he's a sort of 50-year veteran, nearly 60-year veteran into the industry, and that's where, as I said, but even then they get them, but that might not be the perfect voice for them. Like you said, he's got the professional, proper voice. He's great for TV, radio, and that, but maybe not just for a standard book reading. So, and that's what I've always heard. Don't change your accent, because people will want. They just want. They're over the radio announcer, the old, what was it? Yeah. The old laughing days.
Gary Owens.
Yeah, he never used to talk anything
Beautiful
like that.
Downtown Burbank.
And now you understand that. Now when you've got headphones that feed it back with zero latency, and you know that's what he's doing. He's just listening to himself and doing that. But that was really good. So.
Speaking of accents, I enjoy watching things on YouTube that involve, you've heard me talk about this before, that involve, you know, bushcraft, things outside, things you learn in the woods, you know, plants you can eat. You know, I just kind of enjoy watching that kind of stuff. Well, there was a guy, and he is an Australian, and is Ruthie. His name is, I think, John Ruth or something like that, and he goes by Ruthie. I think he has 3 different channels. One of them's about building these 4x4 vehicles where they go running, you know, there's these parks that are set up in Australia, I guess, specifically for taking your Jeeps and running around and doing stuff. And they have one about that, and they have one about him cooking out in the bush, as he says it. I didn't think the guy was for real when I first found his channel and started watching him, because he is you know how the crocodile hunter,
Oh yes.
was he was always,
Steve
he
Irwin.
always saying all the crikey and, all the, and the snakes and crocs and, I mean, it was so exaggerated, it seemed. This guy is, it's a stereotypical, funny, I didn't think he was for real, but that's really the way he talks. I mean, his voice is really super high pitched, but it is really, it's like if an American was trying to make fun of an Australian. And it's just real exaggerated, it seemed to me, and I didn't think he was for real, but I've probably watched 20 or 30 of his videos now, and that's the way he talks. it just struck me as funny, but it certainly gets your attention and you want to watch his videos just because it's so entertaining.
If you want to watch something, just type in, when you're looking at that, Russell Coight, because Russell Coight is one of the, he takes the mickey out of things like that. So he does, it's Russell Coight's Outback Adventures, and he does things like that, goes out the bush and does that, but everything goes wrong with him. But he's one of them. It's so funny though. It's Glenn Robbins, one of our comedians here, that does it. But Russell, if you look, I'm sure there'll be some on YouTube, but it's quite funny that, because he's like that, but the one you're watching does it genuinely and everything works fine. But
doesn't always. Well, he burnt the table whenever.
Yeah. Well, it might be. This might be Russell Coight, and
like
maybe
he goes. All of a sudden, it starts a new take, and he's going, "Well, I burnt the table." And he's talking about doing this.
You sure you're not watching? This, sure, it isn't Russell
smoking thing.
I said, "Are you sure you're not watching? Are you sure it's not Russell Coight?"
No. It's a guy, Ruthie. His last name is Ruth, Rooth, and it's he goes, "Oh, Ruthie," how he goes by, but he's sitting there saying, "Well, we're doing this smoking thing right here," and he said, "Right behind me, you see a river, and it's full of fish, but I'm not good at that, so we're going to use chicken." He's like, that's okay, but he has the entertaining stuff he throws in there too, and
well,
I didn't think he was for real. It was just such an exaggerated voice, and the way he's, that I just thought it was, I thought it was a guy just making fun, but he wasn't. It's a real guy.
I'll have to start doing that this summer. I'll have to start taking the camera out and doing some little shorts, for the weekly catch up, and reporting out here for the weekly catch up. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll have to do that. So that'd be quite fun as well, just having a report out on the street. But it's amazing though, if what I was thinking with things like Anders and Eskil, with they are, I wondered whether that makes a difference as well. Well, like I said, you don't care what people think when you're on here when you get older, but also as well, when you're younger, people don't seem to mind you sticking a camera in the face. But when you're older, you seem to be, what are they up to? You see that with the camera is not good, but so they seem to get people on this, so they don't mind so much. But I would go out much more, but you're just a bit conscious that somebody might get a bit upset and take offence to what you're filming and that. But if you just got rid of that inhibition of filming, you could do so many really good things. Like I was just seeing one in, did you see the camera store videos from Alberta in Canada?
The camera store?
Yeah, the two guys who do from the camera store, and they were in Germany, and they're just filming in this alley, and the camera's probably about 50 feet away from him. He's on a lavalier mic, and so recording the sound and walking up. But there's all these people walking in, and they must be thinking, what's this fool doing? He's talking to himself, because there's no, they won't see the camera, because he's just walking up with a camera going, and this is a good camera. And I thought, nobody batted an eyelid, and that. But then once you get over, I did one in the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles, and I had my camera. I was on the foreground on the concrete at the front of the Griffith Observatory, on my belly with the camera on the ground. Because then I said to Rick, I said, hey, you're in Hollywood, who cares? he said they've seen stranger things than that. He said, so I was filming on the ground, but I had a stuffed koala doing, posed on the thing. I was taking pictures of him in different angles of that and putting him there. The only thing, I did have a lot of Japanese tourists watching me, seeing what I was, because they were more interested, they didn't care about me, they was interested about the little stuffed koala I was putting there. So I took the Colin the koala, I took him everywhere on that trip and took little shots of him going around the place. But as I said, it's all to do with if you don't care about what you do filming anyway, you can get some really good shots. But I'm really going to push myself, I think, this summer, try to get out, because I really haven't done too much. I've done a lot more film, but as I said, put it together, because I said you could put videos and videos and videos out every day. I could do that, but hey, there'd be rubbish. There's plenty of rubbish. But then again, some people might find them interesting. You never know, do you?
No, you don't. Like I say, just put it out there and see what happens. Yeah, it's a that is one thing. Like last week, I mentioned that I needed to get my camera and get out there and do some things. Haven't taken a single picture. I've been around the house. I've been mowing grass. I've been cleaning gutters. I've been, just doing all the stuff that I have a hard time finding time to do whenever I'm working. And so, now I've enjoyed that, just being outside and doing things around here, and just knowing that when I get done, that I can take a shower and just relax, and I don't have to rush out to work and try to do something, and I'm sore from what I was doing today, and then I have to go to work, things like that. It's just been very, very relaxing, and my wife and I both are pretty sold on this retirement thing.
Oh yeah,
whenever I can pull that thing off,
I'm already sold on it, but it's just the one little thing that stops me. The money stops as well.
I can understand that. I can understand that. There's that little thing about paying my house off.
Yeah, that's right. Just paying the bills, and it's fun. Life is funny that way. It's when you've got plenty of time on your hands when you're younger, you've got no money to enjoy it. When you've got a bit of extra money, you don't have the time to do it. There's always something else in there. But it's always.
Then the older you get, the less agile you are too.
And then you get the time. Then you get the time back on your hands, and then usually we haven't got any money coming in, so it goes back to the other way again. So.
Well, one of these days, somebody's going to come up with a social experiment that what they do is people are retired from birth to say 30.
Yeah.
And then they work the rest of their lives.
Didn't you see that Brad Pitt film? Wasn't it? Was it Brad Pitt? Benjamin Button.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, where he was aging in reverse.
He was born old, and then he was old. Then he got younger, and then he went backwards. So he did it. But that was quite a good film. But that was the same sort of thing. So, or it could be like the Highlander. What was he?
Oh yeah, he was immortal. Yeah,
yes. So he built.
That was a good show.
So, but that was good. So you said, I've just built up on that lifetime. Yep, bank that, build up on. So you could get a fortune when you had infinite lifetimes, couldn't you? So, so you could set it up. But a short-term investment would be 400 years.
Oh yes. Well, let's see. This lifetime, I'm going to be a ninja. Then you're going to decide what all you're going to be. So what happens is you just I think every time they have immortality in books or television, there's always something you have to pay.
Oh, that's right.
Either you have to go and feed on people and feed on their blood, or somebody's trying to cut your head off all the time. Or there's always some give back that you have to, like karma. I guess you have to give it back, and so I would be all into the immortality thing. I think that'd be really cool. To me, you could just continue to learn, and again, you would have great health. It wouldn't be like now I've got aches and pains and take medicine for this, wearing a knee brace. When I was out mowing grass, different things. Not having those things and just being in perfect health the entire time as well. And this lifetime you can be this career, and this other lifetime you decide you're going to be this, and then you could just be a nuclear scientist or astronaut, or all these different things you could decide you wanted to be from one lifetime to the next. You could try different forms of government. Everybody has, our government's the best. Okay, well, that's good. Then there's other social experiments that happen at different times, and you might get to experience all these different governments, and then, you might have some insight on that after, a few hundred years of watching people try and fail different forms of government,
And that's the thing is because you just have one life, so you just concentrate on one thing. You don't want to mess it up, so you stick to what you know, and that's it. Whereas if you said you had infinite lifetimes, you could learn different things. So, well, that didn't work out. I'll just try again. Keep going.
Yeah,
Try something else. It'll take me another 40, 50 years to get better at it, but that would be fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be. On the other hand, though, one of the things you see in social experiments, like in science fiction books, there was Isaac Asimov had this set of this group of books that he was doing, and it had to do with the Earth. But then there were 50 worlds that had been colonized, and the 50 worlds had developed a situation to where the human population was not only completely covering the globe, but it was down into the ground by however many stories. I mean, it was just completely full, and these other planets stagnated because they had developed technology, they had robots, they had everything, and their lifetimes expanded to 300 or 400 years. And the natural lifetime for humans was still, in the 60s and 70s or whatever. And so people would die, and their lifetimes were so short on Earth that there was an urgency to go and create and make something, because you were, whereas if you had 400 years, you don't want to die at 70, and so you don't take the risks. You're risking so much more at age 70 if you get killed, doing something great. Whereas if you were 60 or 65 and you were killed doing something exciting as an Earthman, then you lost 5 years or maybe 10. They were losing 300 years if they risked something. So they quit progressing and quit, risking, so they didn't accomplish as much because of their longer lifetimes.
It was did you ever see there was a comedy film? I think it was Bette Midler and Glenn Close. I think they become immortal, but it said because they took the thing, says you can become immortal yet, but they didn't realize immortal. Yes, they couldn't die, but they said, well, it didn't say you couldn't get injured. So they've got broken limbs and the hanging, and the head screwed on backwards because they've broken the neck. It's all said, but the cat. And they said, well, put me out of my misery. Well, you can't. Try to chop them up. But that's one of the things, because they had fights, and they said, they couldn't die, but they said, nothing about repairing yourself though.
Getting all racked up.
Yeah, and they had all. And it was quite funny, all the photography that they did. But they said once Glenn Close has got a cannonball through. So she's got a great big hole through a hole, but she's still, because one's trying to kill the other, and then they said, they had it. Oh, it was Goldie Hawn, I think it was. I think Glenn Close and Goldie Hawn. But it was one of. But they said that's what people don't think. Yes, you might have immortality, but does that mean you're impervious? No, it might mean you can't die. But if you rip a finger off, does it stay off? Or if you said break your neck, will just your head flop down all the time, and that. But anyway, we don't have to worry about that because there was no such thing. So that's something we don't have to worry about.
Probably good. So, I guess all the associated problems with immortality shouldn't be happening.
Well, that's probably why. Yeah, it's probably why nobody promotes it. You see, so because there's just
if somebody's got it, they're not telling.
No, there's too much problems with it. So. Well, I did this week. I did do a bit of filming and did a little video. So if you wanted to, did you want to have a look at that? I think it goes for about 3 minutes, so I don't know if you want to.
Perfect.
We'll still be on the mic, so if you say something, it will come across. So feel free to. But I've got that. I'll play that now.
Excellent.
I don't know if it's going to go jittery or what, so soon see.
A little bit of jitter, but
So I think with broadcasting it might make it a bit jittery. So, but I'll be putting that up on YouTube anyway. I'll see what it was in the end. But it might come up, I don't know, on the things when people are looking at it, but I can put it on YouTube. But I think it would be transmitting it as well. It's putting a bit too much through the feed.
Oh, that's cool. Somebody on a bike that went past before, but I didn't even see it on this one. It cheated bastard. That's what you That's cool.
Yeah, well, so I don't know how that turned out on the thing, but I just wanted to see how a video would come through on the stream anyway. So, but
it looks on the thing. It was now that was all moving video, right?
That was all moving video, and that's what I think. I think it was
popping from one to the next.
Yeah, because I noticed there was a scene there where it should have had a bike going past, and then I all of a sudden zoomed on fast where I filmed on my bike as well. And you just missed the bike altogether. It just jumped the scene, dropped the frame on this one. But I think that's what, because I thought if you usually link to a YouTube one, it will do that. But I think you just can't do it when you're streaming as well. I think it's just too much for the processor to pick up. But I'll put that on YouTube. But I enjoy doing that. But what I do, I'll also put a lot of little sound effects in there. So I don't know if I'll put it up and let you see. But I had one with the seagulls there. But I put a bit of...
I heard that.
Did you hear the thunderstorm in the background? Did you see it raining?
Yeah, I saw rain on the windshield on some of the shots.
No, but did you see
I did get to see the guy on the bicycle right when you mentioned it. I got about 3 or 4 frames of him coming closer and closer and in by you.
Oh, okay. Oh no, but that was the other one. That was
the stream.
Yeah, that was the other one because there was 2 bicycles on there. But I also put, like on that seagull one, I put rain in there as well that wasn't there, and I put a thunderstorm sound a bit over it, and that quite a few different things I put on there, and I put the rain noise on the car going out, and then but it was quite good fun to do those things. And then you saw when I keyed out the sky and put the jumbo jet coming through on the thing, but it was good because I did it behind the bridge that I filmed, so it looked like
I thought that was cool. Yeah, I've seen that. I know where it came from.
but I just did 2 because I thought I didn't want to overdo it, so I just did 2 planes on that one. So it looked, but it just amazes me with the equipment that we've got, that you can, just somebody like me can do that, and it looks really real. That just looked real. The plane going over there, not like it used to do. You could say, oh yeah, that's just a cutout of somebody put in front of a plane going over or something. But I think the whole trick is you had the sound before the shot coming in, and then after the shot. So but the actual sound of that, so getting used to your L and J cuts in your videos, that's one of the good things that make videos sound good. So it took me a while to understand what an L and a J cut is. Have you heard of that term?
I'm just thinking about the way that would be in audio, and it would be the way that it's phased in and phased back out.
That's right. So an L and a J just depends on the way that the audio will go after the shot, or the audio will come in before the shot from that. So that's the way it comes in. But it makes a big difference to the sound of things. So, and then also you don't notice the cutting off of the sound between the scene. Which people don't notice it, because if the sound of the next scene's coming in before it gets there, it's just like you're just turning your head to go and see something on that. So, but I've got to get back in, as I said, doing a bit more video. I've got plenty of stuff there that I've done, so I thought I might just go through that and just put something else together, because it's good fun doing that. And as I said, but once I get stuck into it, you can spend hours, like I said, put that little things together. But then I go back over it and say, what can I put in there to make it a little bit better? And it's usually the sound effects that you can get to put in there. So I don't know if you're saying the traffic lights there, when I took off, I screeched the wheels.
Yes, I get to
you could hear that, but the sound came through okay.
The
but the
screeching
picture
sound sounded like whenever you were kind of in the middle of the highway.
Yeah, but it was
I got
wrong.
the sound after the actual lights, and you were in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, that's right. But when you see it at proper speed, I'll just take off from the traffic light, and actually it works out nice because the lights just went yellow at the time. You could see it sounded like but I didn't go faster in that. But it's just amazing how just a little bit of sound can make, and that goes to show you can. If the sound's up to par, people don't notice that it's a bit cruddy, the video quality in there as well. So. But I'll just put that. I will put that up on my YouTube, because as I said, I haven't put much up this year. But there's plenty of material you just don't touch a lot of the time. You think, well, why don't you? You do all this film, you've got to put it up somewhere. Like with the photography, I've done thousands of shots all over the place, but don't put them up. I think I get to see all these people's wonderful shots and thinking, they're wonderful. What's the point of putting my cruddy ones up there? So as I said. But as I said, it's all just not the standard ones. If you've got Mara and Power, they're standing there looking frightened. Like you were saying before, you want to see these natural shots, and as soon as you say, "I'm going to take a picture,"
like they're standing there with the pitchfork and the.
But that's why I like sometimes with the camera, with the video camera, you just sit it down on the ground, go let it film, put it to a side, and just get something. I don't like it when people are in front of their just acting for the camera, because they never do a good job when you just filming people. You just got to film them doing something, but don't say you're filming. Just film them cooking the barbecue and that. Don't tell them, I'm going to film you. What you got to? A lot of people say something. And how many, when you do, what do I say? I'll just get that thing away from me. But if you just leave it, you just go over and talk to them, and hey, they'll say something to you, won't they? So.
I remember I was shooting my niece's wedding and taking group shots, and there's like 40 people in this shot. And all of a sudden, we're trying to get everybody set up, and if there's anything, her grandfather just hates being being photographed. Of course, all the social pressure for him to be in the shots and everything was there. So we're sitting there and we're getting everything set up. My wife, she's moving people around and straightening ties and fluffing dresses and doing all the things she has to do. Well, all of a sudden, I'm getting ready to take it, and I'm up on a ladder, and I'm trying to get this picture, and all of a sudden I hear this, and I know this guy because he used to ref our basketball games whenever I was in high school. And he goes, all of a sudden I hear him go, "Take the picture, Geoff." Because it was taking too long, and he's sitting up there trying to do it. But one of the things I have found that is so weird is, since people use their SLRs and their bridge cameras and stuff to do video with, whenever you're actually videoing, people see you and they stop.
Yeah, because they think it's a camera
and pose.
It's still, they're
waiting
camera.
for the shot.
But the funny thing is, though, with you saying that, I can take more video with my DSLR than I can my video camera, because when I've got my video camera, people, what are you filming? Whereas if it's a DSLR, they don't seem to worry, even though you're doing a video. It doesn't seem to be as much of a worry. But if you've got your video camera, it looks like you're filming something. Whereas people don't, but it's just quite strange how the different things on there. You did hear of the Prince Philip's, I think it was about a year or two ago, where they had the official photographers in Buckingham Palace or something, and they was all taking the pictures, and he got a bit upset with them, and they said, just take the photo.
Yeah.
He just oh God.
Well, he's not used to having to be at the beck and call of commoners. I would say that's probably it.
But I do love him, because I just love to listen to the comments, because he just doesn't care, does he? He said so many politically incorrect things and that, but it's and that's the sort of thing you'd love to say. You'd think, oh, he couldn't say that, but he did, so they're quite good anyway. So it looks like
yeah. Well, last year sometime they got Queen Elizabeth to actually photobomb their picture. It was actually set up by the people who were doing it, but they were on the other side of a fence, or she was on the other side of a fence, and they actually did a selfie type of thing. Mm-hmm. And they got her in the background going, photobombing their picture. It was pretty funny. Looks like we're kind of coming to the end of episode 22.
Yes,
aren't we?
I think, yes. And the next one, I'll put that there, see, just to remind me that it's 23, the next one. So.
Yeah, well, that matches up with my basketball number in high school, so that's great.
And I was thinking, I've got something else on next Wednesday, and I thought, I won't be able to make it. I might be a bit rushed. I'll cancel and have a week off. But then I thought we've gone into daylight saving time, so it's 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. So I'm not rushed at all. So that's
okay.
Good. So I'm not going to cancel at all.
Not going to cancel at all, then.
No. So thank you everybody for watching. Well, all one of you, if there is, or if there's anybody watching. I don't know if anybody's watching the live stream, but hopefully you can, if you're watching this live or watching it on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. So bye for now, and we'll catch you next week, hopefully. Okay, bye for now. Well, I think we will do, if I get onto the right thing. Bye for now.